You're going to come into the marketing world and you're not going to know everything probably. And you're going to encounter something that makes you nervous, like me being on this podcast. But I think the best thing you can do is you can do it nervous. Like, do it anyway. Just try it out. Just because it's something that is unknown does not mean that it is bad or that it has to be scary. And so just like have the confidence to go out there and to just try it.
Welcome back to the TrustBuilt Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Bennett, and today's guest, we've got Alexandra Andrews, a.k.a. Alex. Yeah. Right? So do you go by Alex or
I go by Alex,
okay,
yeah.
Alex, okay.
Yeah, Alexandra's my professional name, but I don't use that.
Well, that's what I've always called you.
Yeah.
So we know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Alex is good.
And I've never asked that before. I should have asked that.
It's okay.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to be here.
I have, in a way, you remind me a lot of my wife as far as your style, as far as how you
so
operate.
Nice. Now I want to meet her.
She's great. And so your mannerisms and your style remind me a lot of her. So if I start to talk to you like we've known each other for 34 years.
That's totally fine. I love that.
So if you would give the audience just an insight, your latest creation, ironically, is
called Change Creative, and it is a website branding design company specifically for nonprofits. Yeah.
How in the world did you? Everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a passion. Yeah. Well, most do. Mm-hmm. Where's the roots on that?
So, I'll start off by saying I never in a million years was like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a business owner when I was younger. I didn't even think I was going to go into like creative design work like this when I was younger. It just kind of fell into my lap. One day, Carrie was like, hey, I know you can do this stuff. Cause like as soon as I had a MacBook put in my hand, I downloaded Adobe Illustrator, Adobe, Photoshop, and I was doing all that stuff. So I've been doing it forever and I love it, but it's never what I thought I wanted to do. And so then Carrie came to me one day. She was like, I have this job. I need your help. You're going to have to do some graphic design stuff. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. And so it just kind of has snowballed from there. And now I love it. Like I can't imagine doing anything else. But, and so I've been doing Storyteller Wordsmith, obviously, and doing design stuff there. And one day it just got to the point where I was like looking at, the stuff that's going on in the world, right, around us. And I was like, man, what can I do to make a difference and to help people's lives be better and to, make some change in the world. And I thought, well, I have these skills, in website design and in branding and creative work. And I realized that a lot of nonprofits, especially the ones that I know of that are maybe smaller, right? They don't have a lot of resources and they don't have a lot of know-how when it comes to that kind of thing. And so maybe they don't even have a website. And I feel like that's really crucial for a nonprofit because obviously you need somewhere to send people. You need somewhere that people can donate, somewhere people can get information, come to any events you have, right? And so I was like, well, I can do it. Why not? I have the resources, I have the tools, I have the know-how. And so I just did. I started it one day and I was like, I'm going to do it. I called it Change Creative Co. And I wasn't doing it like, this is not something I envision really even making money from. I was just kind of like, I want to be an agent for change via this pathway. And so that's how it was born.
Well, I love the altruism in this story, but I want to take a step back.
Yeah.
And, every successful team, and you and Carrie are an example of that, in my opinion. So Carrie's more of the visionary, you're more of the executioner, implementer.
Yes.
So knowing that, so I knew this part of you, that you were an implementer, but now with this new group that you've started, this new company that you've started, you're both.
Yes.
I hear some of both. So so moving from the go-to executioner or implementer role to visionary, what is that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I have taken a lot of what I've learned from Carrie, watching her, kind of establish Storyteller Wordsmith. I've kind of taken that over into Change Creative. So I have to give a lot of props to her because I've learned so much from her.
We're talking about Carrie Kaufman.
Yeah, my partner at Storyteller Wordsmith. But I don't know, it's interesting and it's hard. Because that's not who I am. I'm not the person who's like, oh, I have this huge idea. and I want to do it. Like, I am the kind of person who's like, I'm going to tackle a task and I'm going to do it 100%. I'm going to do it really well. And then I'm going to do that with another task, right? And so being this like visionary, I guess, it is hard, but it's also something I'm passionate about, right? And I think when you're really passionate about something, that part of it comes naturally.
Okay, so I'm going to project onto you because I'm thinking about my wife and the way she operates, because the two of you are a lot alike. And there is this, some people like myself will call it perfectionists. You know, some people are like, right? And they have all the plans in action, and then there's that hesitant. And where I'm going with this is the decision to finally do it, right? To start the business, to do something with it. There's this, I might forget something. And then there's that hesitation to actually take the next step.
Right.
Talk about that journey. Talk about when you decided I am going to make the step. I'm going to do this tomorrow.
Yes. So obviously, I had this idea and I ruminated on it for a long time. I was like, okay, what's the best way to do this? How can I make it perfect? And I think a lot of times, especially something we rag on in Storyteller Wordsmith, is that you do it even if it's not perfect, right? You just put the post out there, put the stuff out there. And you can work on it, right? You can fix it afterwards, but just put it out there, just go ahead and do it. And so I kind of had that mentality when I was, building Change Creative. I was like, I don't exactly know where this is going to go. I don't exactly have, a roadmap laid out. I don't have 5, 10 years, whatever planned for this, but I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and launch it. And I'm just going to see what kind of reception it gets. And I'll just go from there. And so that's what I did. And as soon as I launched it, I had a friend who they actually have a nonprofit in Africa. And she reached out to me and she was like, hey, it's amazing that you're doing this. We need this right now. And so it was like meant to be, I guess.
So how fast did that happen?
Oh, it was like the day I posted the first video that I was like going to do this. They were like, hey, we need you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you resonated with an audience.
I did. Yeah.
Very quick.
So it was like, a check mark, like, okay, you're doing it. This is good.
All right. I want to take a small step into the direction of those that would resonate with your message.
Okay.
Let's take your friend, for instance. Let's just use that one as the ideal client.
Let's do it. Yeah.
When you have a conversation with her about what she does, what is it that they share with you?
Yeah. So pretty much we'll just sit down and we'll have a conversation essentially about what they do, right? So she came to me, we sat down and we talked about what they do, and they serve underprivileged communities in Africa. And she was like, we do all this stuff, but like, we don't have a website that showcases this. She was like, we don't know how to, design something like that, because I feel like a lot of startup nonprofits, right? They have the passion for it. They know how to do the actual work, but they're kind of modgepodging their marketing, I guess, their design, their website together, right? Because that's not what they're experts in. They're experts in serving these people and doing what their nonprofit does. And so she came to me and she just laid it out there. She was like, hey, like, here's what we do. Here's what I have. What can you do with it? And I feel like, especially through Storyteller Wordsmith, me and Carrie do this a lot, right? Someone will come to us, they'll be like, hey, I have this business. I can tell you all about it, but I need you to, put it into words that make sense and build something beautiful from it. And so pretty much just translating that to that has been pretty easy, honestly. So,
well, now it sounds easy. It took some years to get to easy.
Yes, it did. Of course. Yeah.
And where I want to go with this, because we're TrustBuilt Podcast, right? Yeah. We want to talk about trust. And what I'm hearing is your competency is part of where that trust is built. Yeah. And also I hear an ear for some compassion and character.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a couple of things going on here. In what part of when you engage with them, where do you think that they're resonating? What part of, whether it's competency, character, connection, compassion, where is it you think that the people that need that service, want that service, where do you think that is?
I think the first step for them is seeing someone who is competent in these things, but more importantly, they have the same kind of passion that they do, right? For serving people. And so, I mean, these nonprofits could go to any marketing company, right? And get their website done. I'm sure there are tons of people out there who would do it for cheap or even free, maybe. But I think when they come to me, they see somebody who has the same heart for serving people that they do. And so I think that that's a connection point there.
Okay. I'm going to dig in on altruism.
Go for it, yeah.
My wife is highly altruistic and selfless, right? I'll share a quick story with you. We have some friends, and I'll try to make it as short as we have some friends that we like to have small dinners together. And I may have told you this story, but for the audience, I'm going to share the story. And she likes to have, maybe 4 or 6 people to dinner. I'm the, hey, let's have a tailgate kind of party, right? Crawfish boil.
Right.
And she's like, no, let's get a smaller group.
I'm the same way, so I relate.
We're going down the list of who to invite. And one of the people that we decided to invite, I said, well, how about our friends Richard and Carla? And she's like, oh, yeah, they're great. We haven't seen them in a while, and they get along great with Mark and Shay. And, we go through this little conversation. Well, the reason I said Richard and Carla is because Richard makes great ribs. And maybe, just maybe, he'll bring some over there. So I'm highly resourceful.
Yeah.
She's highly selfless. They're completely different driving forces. So we both want the same couple, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
She wants it because they get along great with everyone else, and I like their company. And I'm like, got pretty good ribs.
I need those ribs.
So somebody like me in the world of nonprofits that's highly resourceful, and from what I'm detecting, you're highly selfless. When you see that somebody you have the same goal, but their driving forces are a little bit different, have you crossed that bridge yet with some of your clients?
I'm sure I have. I don't know if it's kind of been out there, right? I don't know if they haven't really said that to me. I'm sure, yes, that is something that has cropped up. Maybe that I didn't know, or that will crop up in the future, that they come to me like, hey, I get that you care. That's not my main driving force here. I just want to know that you can get this done. And, that's fine too, because I do have that competency to back it up. And so if they connect with that, that's totally fine too.
Yeah. Okay. As we're talking, and I just shared a story with somebody from Storyteller, Wordsmith. I thought that was ironic, wasn't it? Was that great?
I love that though. It means the work we're doing with you is making a difference. So.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Now that the company is launched and you have clients and you're engaged, where do you see this type of work? Do you see that this is bigger than what you thought?
I was actually thinking about that yesterday, because I was like, I know Alan's going to ask me this question because this is what he does, right? I know he's going to ask me. And honestly, I hadn't thought about it until yesterday, because I thought that you were going to ask me. So thank you, I guess, for making me think about it. But before then, I hadn't. I was like, this is just something I'm doing. And, I'll just do it until I can't do it anymore, or I'm done doing it, or, whatever. But in the car the other day, I was like, what if it could be something more? I was like, I don't want this to turn into a business, right? I don't want this to turn into something where I'm, trying to turn a profit to help these people. But what if I could turn this into almost like a coalition of other designers and people who want to help out nonprofits for cheap or for free even? And I was like, that's a good idea. So you made me think about that.
Wow. Coalition.
So thank you.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me dig on that a little bit. All right. So let's talk about coalitions just in general. And I'm not trying to detract away from your company. For it. But when you come across a group that resonates with a common purpose, right? What is that? What are the feelings that come out? I want to know personal feelings about people that are passionate or purposeful in a certain area. And then also share the broader picture as that group grows and they resonate. What does that look like for you?
I mean, I'll tell a story, I guess. So maybe this is the same thing. Maybe it's not the same thing. I don't know. So I was raised in theater, right? And theater kids are a coalition of sorts, right? So you go and you're going to do this production, and it doesn't matter who the person next to you is. It doesn't matter who they are, what they think. If you even have something in common, right? You have this one theater production that you're doing in common, okay? And you have I don't know, 50 or so people here doing the same exact thing as you. And they're all working towards this goal to put on this amazing production. And then you do this production, right? And it's just, everyone's ecstatic. Everyone is collaborating on the same thing. Everyone you can feel it in the air. There's just like this passion for what you're doing. And so that's, I think, what I love the most about like groups of people who are working towards a goal, right? It doesn't matter if you like the same ice cream. It doesn't matter if you grew up in the same town. It doesn't matter if you can't talk about anything else besides that one thing. That can bring people together, and that can be almost stronger, I feel like, than just having even just like a group of friends, you know? Like, I love my friends, but I know that sometimes the connection that I made with people in like theater, because we had such strong passion for theater, just brought us together in such a different way and allowed us to create something and accomplish something that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Okay, that is fantastic. Now, there's two reasons I say fantastic. Okay. One, the story behind that is fantastic. But the two, for those that are watching this, when I knew I hit a nerve with her, is she started using her hands. And when Alex starts using her hands, she is visualizing what's going on. And I knew by the hand movements I had struck, I had hit something there. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bust you out. I think it's wonderful. And for those that are watching, you saw it. Rewind. You can see her. She's living it. She's looking at it. She's visualizing. The eyes were moving. The hands were moving.
Well, like I said, I love the creative work I do. But originally in high school, I was like, I'm going to be in theater. This is what I'm going to do. So like, that's my first love, I like to say.
All right. So connect that. Let's, because, everybody has a story from something in our environment that resonated with us. It could be one moment, or it could be a lifestyle that impacted what we're doing in adulthood. So let's connect that, right? I'm asking for a little bit of vulnerability here, but you've already shared a little bit that you grew up in there. What is it about it that you found that you resonated with?
I mean, honestly, I think, growing up in that space kind of formed everything about who I am today, frankly. It allowed me to relate to people who were not like me. It allowed me to relate to something larger to myself. It taught me, social awareness. It taught me, situational awareness, right? You're on a stage, you're moving parts, doing all these things. And so I feel like it just taught me a lot about being aware of myself and being aware of my surroundings. And it taught me a lot about being creative, right? It taught me a lot about, thinking and working on the spot and just digging into that creativity. And it taught me a lot about, especially like in the marketing side in Storyteller Wordsmith, where we're having to kind of dig into these businesses and essentially become them for a while, right? To create their content. It allowed me to step out of myself and into somebody else's shoes. And so I think all those things have just been huge for who I am today and what I'm doing today. And I can look back now and realize, this set me up for success today.
Yeah. What I heard is I heard emotional intelligence. Yeah, that awareness, the recognition and awareness and all the things that you just described. You perfectly described what it means to have a high emotional intelligence, right? Kudos to you.
Thank you.
And that's something I've had a guest on in the just yesterday that was where he started his foundation to get his business to really thrive, and it was around emotional intelligence. So let's go there. Yeah. Are you good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Emotional intelligence. When you have that awareness, and let's connect it back to Creative Co.
Sure.
Having the social awareness, social recognition, and self-awareness, kind of looping those together when you're having an interaction with a client that's looking for your help in the way that you serve. What goes through your mind as you are listening to them and engaging with them on how they do their work? Yeah,
for sure. So, like I said, I think the first thing it helps me do is it helps me to stand in their shoes, right? So they're telling me, what they do. Well, maybe it's, these people I helped that serve, underprivileged kids in Africa and everything they're doing. And it helps me to understand, okay, here's what you're doing. Here's how I can envision you doing this. Here's how I envision you feeling when you're doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you might not even tell me like, oh, this makes me super happy, but I can infer from what you are saying and how you're acting like, oh, this is something you love. Like you're passionate about this. And so I also think it helps me just to bring in a level of like compassion and understanding, especially to these nonprofits, which are, that's what they're doing, right? They're bringing compassion and understanding to these areas that they're serving. And so I think it just has helped me connect with them and understand them in an even deeper way.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's go to the next stage.
Okay.
Now that you're working with them, and I guess I'm projecting my experience with you and Carrie in Storyteller Wordsmith is the initial engagement, there's a certain type of relationship. And then there's the next phase as you're working together, relationships develop.
Yeah.
They change in a positive way, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
It changes in a positive way. And so that relationship evolves.
Mm-hmm.
So as it evolves, there's still a constant social awareness, self-regulation, self-awareness. There's still that, it still is there.
Yeah.
So as you're working with these people, so I tell you that to ask you this, as you're developing them and they are starting to resonate and get traction with the work that you do, how do you help serve them as far as doing more?
Right. Yeah. That's a good question. That's honestly not a piece that I have incorporated yet because, right, when they come to me, usually they come to me for a single project. So they're coming to me to build their website or they're coming to me to help them, refresh their branding, or maybe they don't have a logo. And so for me, like for you, for Storyteller Wordsmith, like we're working with you, constantly, right? We have an ongoing kind of relationship. But for me, I don't necessarily have one with those people. So they come to me and I help them with their project, and we have a relationship during that project, obviously, and I get to know them really well. And I also tell them, hey, like if you ever need help, with this website we built or with your branding, like please come back to me. I'll continue to help you. But as far as like continuing like marketing or maybe social media, like that's not a piece that I've actually thought about yet. And so thinking about maybe like this coalition I could build, maybe I could bring some people in who are passionate about doing marketing and social media type stuff for nonprofits. So.
Okay, well, it's about to be out there about this coalition.
I know, right? I put it out in the universe, so.
Yeah, well, but just Alex has control of what really goes out. Just so.
Yeah, I can edit this if I need to.
Well, let's just say that happens. Yeah,
okay.
I'm just kind of thinking,
spitball.
I'm feeling the coffee.
Not airship, though.
Not airship, no. But if you get contacted through LinkedIn or email or whatever, and they're like, hey, tell me more about this coalition thing, what would you do with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would pursue it, honestly. If I found somebody who came to me and they're like, hey, I understand the passion you have, and I have that passion too. I want to serve these nonprofits. They might not be able to pay me, and that's okay. I would say, okay, let's do it. You're on board. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. And this is just my personal opinion. Where you are in Northwest Arkansas, there are a population of people that have that thought process or that mindset.
Yeah.
And so to me, you're kind of in the environment that things like that with Walton Foundation and things like that. This is an environment where things like that actually launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heads up.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah. So let's. I'm not going to let this go.
Okay, you can follow up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take the next step.
Okay.
All right. Somebody says, and it's the right somebody that's got the funds to support a coalition like that.
Yeah.
And you're an implementer.
Yeah.
And a visionary now.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick between visionary and implementer, what would you do?
Ooh, that is really tough because I love doing. I love getting my hands dirty and doing stuff. And so I think it would be really tough for me to take on the role of just visionary. And so, but maybe, who knows, maybe I'll find someone one day who has the same vision as I do, and we can kind of share that together so I can be half visionary, half, implementer. That would be, in my perfect world, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're facing this way, because when I asked that question, Carrie went,
Carrie, you're too busy with Storyteller Wordsmith. You can't. She said,
right. But so let's bounce to Storyteller Wordsmith.
Yeah,
let's talk about partnership.
Yeah.
Right. Just take this. I know we need to wrap things up, but let's take it.
And we can talk forever. It's fine.
Let's dip our toe into partnerships.
Okay.
So and I've worked with business owners sometimes hire me because of partnerships. They don't know how to bring on the right partner, or they have a partnership and they're like, things aren't going so well, and they're very siloed and they got issues. So I have seen horror stories on partnerships, and I've seen them turn around and thrive.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how your partnership with Carrie thrives.
Yeah. So I will say I got really lucky, right? Because I've known Carrie since I was 13 years old. Like, she and her husband were best friends with my mom and my dad. And so I've known her forever. Like, I know her better than some of my best friends. And so I've gotten really lucky in that respect, is like, we have this already established trust there and this understanding of one another. And so I would just say, like, in the future, like, for example, if I'm looking for a partner for Change Creative, I would want to have that kind of vibe, I guess, with this other person, like establishing just a foundation of trust and understanding, and just like, even, having things in common, right? It's because, like, me and Carrie have so much in common. Like, we have more in common than just like marketing. We can talk about other stuff. And so I think that's just a good foundation for a partnership. Like, I think a partnership in business is similar to like a marriage. When you get married to somebody, you want to get married to your best friend, right? Hopefully. And so I think in a partnership in business, it's kind of the same. Like, you want to be in a partnership with someone that is your friend, is someone that you can trust, someone that you can go to when you're like, hey, I screwed this up, I need you to help me. Or you can say, hey, you screwed this up, I need to help you, Right. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about partnerships in general. They always have that saying that opposites attract, and I used to think that was hooey, right? But once I understood, I was drawn to my wife because of the strengths she had, I didn't possess.
Yeah.
I can only assume and hope that she saw the same. Like, he's got something in understanding where the strengths lie and leaning on those strengths in a common way.
Yeah.
To me, is where I see partnerships really thrive.
Yeah.
The bottom layer under the water level, the iceberg, all the duck's feet under the water moving frantically is all the driving forces, and that's what when we talked earlier about selfless and resourceful, and
you need it all.
You need it all, but you have to understand the underlying connection that you have with that partner.
Yeah.
So the things and those aren't as obvious.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes you learn them the hard way. So learning the hard way typically means friction.
Yeah.
So let's not trying to get you to reveal anything.
No, it's fine.
But when you work through friction and there's a disagreement, what does that look like?
I mean, I think, yes, of course, there's always going to be friction, right? Even, when you've been partners for years and years, you're going to have something come up that you want or you like, and the other person's like, no. And so I think, to your point, like, trust, that has to be the foundation of any partnership, just like it has to be the foundation of any business, any sort of relationship. Like, you have to be able to trust that you can say something to them and they are going to take it, and they're not going to be like offended by it. They're not going to, hold it against you or something. You have to trust that they know that you have their best interests at heart, and vice versa. And what was the question again, actually?
How you deal with friction.
Okay.
Or instead of using disagreement and conflict, I said friction.
Friction, that's good. Yeah. But I think that's it. It's trust.
Yeah. Yeah. I came across the whole trust thing. We worked with Todd Howard. Yeah. Right. And Todd pointed me to you and Carrie. And where I always used the word trust. I didn't realize how often I used it until he told me, hey, you said trust 13 times or whatever it was. And once we understand, trust is like a blanket. It's like saying, I drive a vehicle. There's more to it than a vehicle. And trust, people throw trust around, or they throw the word love around.
Yeah.
And there's more. There's so much underneath that surface. And what you just described to me, I thrive on these types of conversations, you know, and I guess where I'm going with this part of it is digging down deep and understanding the pillars that support the trust is where understanding that is the magic.
Yeah, I agree.
You're not supposed to agree. You're supposed to add to it.
But you said it so perfectly. Like, yes, like trust is such a blanket statement, but it is built, you know, on these pillars you're talking about, on these pillars of compassion, on these pillars of understanding, on these pillars of, you know, commonality, of these pillars of just, you know, liking each other for a basis. So
if you had, and this is a what if, and this is what I have to do with my wife. I have to create a how question in order for her to get deep.
I like that.
So I'm creating a how.
All right.
If somebody came to you and they had a partner or partnerships within their group, whatever it is, and let's just take a nonprofit.
Yeah.
All right. They come to you with a project. And you quickly understand that, okay, there's some little drama, there's some connection going on here that we need to work through this before we clear the picture of what we're trying to create.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that there may be trust issues, for instance. Based on your experience with partnerships, how would you help work through some of that in order to clear the message so that you can launch your work? How would you help work, clear up the water, unmuddy the water?
Yeah,
how would you do that?
Yeah, that's good. I don't know exactly like if I'm fully qualified to do that myself, you know, because like, just because I'm not in there. I'm not in their relationship. I'm not in their business. But I think we're actually working with a nonprofit right now on the Storyteller Wordsmith side. And they've kind of had some of that where they've come to us and we've been talking about building their messaging. And sometimes they don't always agree on what that looks like. And so I think just asking them the right questions and encouraging them to go to a drawing board by themselves to be like, hey, here's what we see on this side. Like, we see that you guys maybe have some conflicting ideas about what's going on inside your company. Before we continue this process, we would encourage you guys to go answer these questions, like amongst your staff, amongst the board, amongst whoever you have that's making decisions, you know, for your nonprofit, and clear that up. Because frankly, if you don't have that clear before you come to me, like, I am not going to be able to clear it up. I'm not going to be able to clear it up, right? Because I'm not in there. And so I think just being able to have that emotional awareness, like you said, to recognize, oh, there's some stuff going on. I think they need to deal with their stuff before we deal with the outside stuff. So
clarity matters in marketing.
Yeah. Of course. You hear it all the time. Clarity matters.
Yeah. Who is it that... there was somebody I talked to not long ago. Brad Alexander.
That's the whole thing. Clarity. Yeah, Brad.
Yeah, he's got a whole business around that.
That's it.
Now, let's talk a little bit about not getting into Brad's business, but let's talk about clarity and marketing. And why is that important? How does that slow the process down?
Yeah, for sure. I am all for clarity, right? I think frankly, it's an overused term in marketing. Everybody uses the word clarity, but I think nobody like really defines what it means, right? It's kind of a buzzword, right? Especially in the world of AI, because AI likes to use clarity for everything. And so I think clarity is important, right? It's important to be clear about what you're selling. It's important to be clear about what you're doing. As a nonprofit, it's important to be very clear about who you're serving, right? And to be able to tell that to people. But I think more important, even than maybe clarity, is connection. And so you can be clear all day long, but if this nonprofit, if what they are saying about what they're doing isn't connecting with somebody else, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, that was good. That was really good. It was almost like scripted good.
Not scripted, just something I think about often.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So wrapping this up, if you had someone that was like your younger self coming through, right? Hey, I want to get into marketing and I want to, this is, and you see some of yourself in that person. what would you advise them to do?
Ooh. So if someone was coming along and they wanted to get into marketing, I think the first thing I would ask them was why. I think that a lot of people, just in any sort of industry, they get into it and they don't understand why they're doing it. And I think it's important to understand your own personal why. Like, why am I in marketing? Why am I helping these nonprofits for free? Right. And so I think I would have them think about that. Like, why are you wanting to do this? First off, like, what are your goals when you want to do this? And I think the next thing I would say to someone who was trying to get into marketing is to just like be confident, and you're going to be scared about stuff. Like, you're going to come into the marketing world and you're not going to know everything probably. And you're going to encounter something that makes you nervous, like me being on this podcast. But I think the best thing you can do is you can do it nervous. Like, do it anyway. Just try it out. Just because it's something that is unknown does not mean that it is bad or that it has to be scary. And so just like have the confidence to go out there and to just try it. I feel like a lot of marketing is, we have so many rigid rules around, you have to do marketing this way, you have to pursue it this way, you have to post on social media this way. And you don't. Like, it's just everybody in the world is throwing spaghetti at a wall. They're just not going to tell you they're throwing spaghetti at a wall. So, yeah.
Jessica Bennett, did you hear that? That is my daughter. She's a sophomore in college, and she claims that she wants to go into marketing.
Oh, cool. I love that.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I hope she's listening.
And I think we need more marketers in the world who, this is my 2 cents. We need more marketers in the world who are compassionate and kind and who want to help people because they want to help people and not because they want to get rich quick.
Right. Yeah, it's about serving others.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is trust.
Yes, which is trust.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you.
Yeah. So if people want to find you and find Creative Co., what's the best way to track you down? Yeah, so you can go to changecreativeco.com. You can also find Change Creative Co. on Instagram as well. And then I also work with Storyteller Wordsmith. So you can find storytellerwordsmith.com and Storyteller Wordsmith on social media as well. All right. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thanks again. Thank you.